Hello and welcome. Uh, this might be the most formal intro we've ever done. Uh, Welcome to Tuscaloosa Web Professionals. I'm glad everybody could come. Have a nice, interesting change up of format this month. I'm going to try a shot at lightning talks. And so if you've never attended a lightning talk format before, it's basically a smorgasbord of web topics. All wrapped up in one. So tonight we are honored to have Felicia Morris and Kate Newble. I always feel like I'm going to say her name wrong. And Jonathan Wright. And we're going to talk about freelancing, which I feel like a lot of us here cover in some shape, form, or fashion. Kate is going to talk about backing up your website. And Jonathan is going to talk about debugging your website. If we have some time left over at the end, we might even have some surprise presentations, a little something like that for y'all. So without further ado, also the format will work kind of like this. Let Walisha and all the presenters talk, and then while we change slides, we'll let them answer questions. That way we can kind of move this along at a decent pace. So are we ready?
Almost. I got logged out here.
Oh. It's working though. It's up here. So you just kind of go over here and you can click the right arrow to change. So we forgot a remote. No, she's in the browser. That's Jonathan's. She's over here. You minimized it? Oh. Technical difficulties. What happened? Okay, is it working now? Go to my Slack and click the link. Oops, that clicked the wrong thing. Okay. I feel like my join. Okay, so now we're good?
Sweet.
Okay, all right. Take it away, Felicia.
Thank you. Again, my name is Walisha Morris. I am not a web professional, but I like to pretend to be one for meetings like this because I find it fascinating. And what I kind of wanted to tell you about, and this is the reason why I called it Flub to Freelancer, is that I suck at being an employee. For the past few years that I've been in Alabama, I have been reprimanded, I've been fired, I've left tearfully jobs that I've had here, and yet here I am talking to you about being a freelancer and a successful one at that. So I kind of want to encourage you that even if you feel like you're not fitting in wherever it is you are at your day job, you may not be doing the work that you want to do or doing the client work that you want to do because of the fact that you should probably be a freelancer instead. So I can tell you right now that it's something anybody can actually do, and with lots of success. So what I might change it to next time is I might call it to, it's not about the PJs, it's about the power. That's my new title, I think, working title for this particular one, because it's more about having the power to choose your clients. Instead of you being the one to do interviews for yourself, you're doing them for the people, you're vetting clients, you're picking the service that you want to choose. That's why I think I may go with PJs, not PJs, about power. So let me go to the next one. There we go. This looks very formal, but it's really not. It's kind of the basis for really most businesses. 3 steps: planning, marketing, and networking. And what I like to say is for planning, the business plan isn't totally necessary. You'll want to write down your goals, the services you want to provide, your audience, pretty much everything that you kind of want to do to get started, and not really worry about being very formal or trying to, have a certain style or template. So really it's about looking at your competitors, determining what your marketing plan is going to be. Next, of course, is marketing. I'm going to get a little bit more about it in a minute, but I want to talk to you more about focusing on where you should be and should not be on social media. Because you'll probably read a lot about gurus who will say you should be everywhere, you should be on Twitter and Facebook, and Pinterest and LinkedIn and Instagram and all that at once. And I'll tell you right now, that's totally not true. please don't listen to them because it's very, very bad information. You'll want to be where you're most comfortable. If you guys are web developers, maybe you want to be on Tumblr or Instagram. You don't have to be on Twitter or Facebook to be successful at this. So that's kind of my big kind of marketing, is that try not to get too involved in where you feel like you need to be. And also, networking is the big one. Obviously, groups like this are really important, not just for referrals, but also just for encouragement, advice, accountability. The accountability part is a big one for me. Just being able to stay on task all during the day. I have a group that I talk with every day. And also, one thing probably I've not really noticed before, but Facebook groups are really popular now. And I've actually found a few of my first couple of clients that way through Facebook groups. And also, of course, LinkedIn. So if I'm not talking too fast for you guys, I can talk fast when I get nervous. Thanks. Let's see. I've lost it now. I'm sorry. Go to the right. Go to the right. There we go. Oh, is that it? Oh no! I've clicked the wrong thing.
You have to go to the screen. So the mouse has to. Now you're clicking.
Okay, gotcha. When I was thinking about finding clients, I wanted to do it almost like a pyramid, but it's not really like a pyramid. It's more of concentric circles that you put together. And so you don't have to abandon all these phases. You can skip one if you want to or go back to them. So what I want to start with is the first phase in the middle, and that's if you have no portfolio at all. If you have no samples to base your business off of, I do recommend working with nonprofits, ones that you feel passionate about, ones that you can work with and say, hey, I love you guys. I want to work with your site and tell you to do this, this, and this. And also contacts. So for instance, if you want to leave your day job, you can possibly work with the people that you work with now, or just in general contacts that you have now in the network community. And phase 2 is hopefully, with phase 1, you've gotten referrals and also talk with businesses that you actually frequent now. So a restaurant that you like or a clothing store that you use, you see their site, it needs help, and you can come to them and say, I love your products, but I want to help you in this way. So that's kind of the next phase for finding clients. And then finally, that's that list I mentioned earlier, is that dream business list of ones where you can say, I've worked with these many clients, I've been able to help them with this kind of traffic, with their social media, whatever, and now you can approach them with confidence. You don't have to use any of the bidding sites. I totally recommend avoiding anything like Craigslist or Upwork, because they'll be paying you pennies for what you should be getting paid a lot more for. So, and the reason why I picked up with circles is that if you feel uncomfortable in some area, you can go back to maybe phase 2 and just work with referrals. Or if you just want to focus on nonprofits, you can start there and never charge anything for your work if you don't want to. But I kind of encourage you to never undervalue yourself. And also, there's nothing on there about family and friends, because I recommend you don't work with them at all. I haven't had any bad experiences yet, but I just recommend that just because you'll probably undercut yourself. It might put a strain on relationships, that kind of thing, so I wouldn't recommend doing that. If you want to work for free, work for a nonprofit instead. Let's see. Next one. Oh, there it is. I found it. And what I noticed, actually this morning when I was looking at this presentation, I was like, wait a minute. I'm talking to them about making a good pitch as far as writing to guest blogs, but also this is a good pitch for even if you want to advertise your services. So I put flirting, which I don't actually mean actual flirting. Do not do that. It's a terrible idea. But what you do want to do, don't do it. Don't do it. It won't work. The first step is flirting, as in getting to know whoever it is you're pitching and being personal with them. So I probably should have brought an example. I'm sorry I didn't do that. But the first paragraph of your email should be about a connection with that publication. I like this article. I enjoy reading this story. I know so-and-so from so-and-so. You want to start with whatever is closest to them, because that's what will get their attention once you actually get them to read the email. Second part is the why should you care. This part's actually so hard for me as a writer. This is the meat of the pitch. This is your idea, what you want to work on or what you want to write about. But the part that I get a hard time with is I want to just give them a cool idea and say, I like this guy. He's really neat. Let's write about him. And that's not probably going to work for most publications. They'll want to know why they should care about hiring you, and also about why should their audience care about whatever it is you're writing about. So you got to be very specific about that sort of thing. And then finally, why I'm the best. So this is one part that I always emphasize, is that you'll really want to leave all of the here's what I do stuff to the very end. And you want to keep it brief as well, maybe 2 sentences. My name is Felicia Morris. I'm a writer. I've been on these sites. Let's talk. And that's the entire length of the email. It should be no more than a few paragraphs, because obviously these folks are really busy, probably have a million emails to go through like you do. So that's kind of my step-by-step, not only pitching for a blog post, which we'll talk about in a minute, but also about pitching any kind of services that you may have as a freelancer. Let's see the next one. Oh, it's up there somewhere. This way. Off the screen time. Ah, gotcha. Thank you. I will figure this out one day. There it is. So now that I've encouraged you, congratulations, all of you are now freelancers. You can go out and make money on your own. Yay! What I really encourage you, obviously, other than finding a peer group like this one, is to find a mentor. I have several that I love. I ingest their blogs voraciously. I write for them. I work with them. It's important to find people that you can look up to and say, I'm thinking about doing this as a business. How can you help me? Is there anything I should try or do? That sort of thing. And also, obviously, develop a portfolio that you can use to pitch to clients. Because that's really all that you need. You don't need a resume. Excuse me. You don't need to fill out a profile on some kind of bidding website. Really, all you need is your work, because that's what you're going to be evaluated by, is your work, and that's it. And I'm pitching my site, obviously, there, if you want to go to that. Lots of awesome advice on there. And, oop, I should have not moved the arrow. There we go. And what I'm going to end up giving you guys is this presentation so you can look at the links, but I've always suggested, and actually it's a kind of a business thing in general, to really go into guest posting for different blogs. What I want to encourage you to do is to not just get exposure or get links to a website that you have, but to also get paid. So these are several different websites that will pay you really good money for tips. And that's just a small sample. There's more that are at those websites that I listed there, but just a little taste of what you can actually look to get as far as clips for your writing portfolio, expertise, but also get some money on the side as well. That's what I really want to encourage you guys to do. If you want to do guest posting, at least get paid to do it while you're doing it. So that was my presentation. You guys have any questions? Maybe online on the Google Hangouts have questions. Sure.
So I work full-time now, but for a while I was looking at taking freelance official business, and I can never really understand the difference between sole proprietorship and LLC. What exactly is it?
Sole proprietorship is pretty much what you'd be doing normally for your taxes. You're an individual person, you're a sole business proprietor. LLC is more about, it's called limited liability corporation. So you'll be actually turning yourself into a bit of a business where you have a little bit of buffer between you and your clients as far as liability goes. So the filing is a little bit different. It can involve more than one person, and there may be a bit more leeway if something happens and someone tries to sue you. It's a better option to go with LLC because they're not taking away your personal assets if something happens. It still is. I haven't done it yet. It is. It's like a firewall. That's really good. It's like a web term. It's like a firewall. I like that. That was good. No, it's still a good idea, and it's not difficult to do, and it's not very expensive for you guys. Any other questions? this is a much bigger presentation than I normally give, so I wanted to give you guys at least the good stuff.
Let me ask you this. So,
Sure.
as far as the organizations that you decided to help, the nonprofits.
Yes.
So who were your favorites, and kind of what did you do with them?
Sure. I haven't done a lot with the one that I'm working with now, but I love Disco, which is the Desert Island Supply Company in Birmingham. They're like a children's, like a haven for kids to go learn about writing and art in Birmingham. And I've wanted to do a case study about them and just, get practice writing case studies. But I've been more sort of talking back and forth with the leader of that yet. So I haven't anything really good. But really anything. Anything that you consider to be a worthy cause. So for instance, even if it's like a student organization at U of A, same kind of thing. You want to work with them and talk to them about getting their website up to par.
Let me ask you this also. So whenever you're working with these big charitable type organizations, do you tend to almost run into business whenever you're in there talking to people?
I would hope you would, especially if it's a legitimate one. You'll maybe want to frequent whatever meetings they go to, talk about who their contacts are, because they may be people that you want to work with in the future. That's why I kind of love Disco, is because Chip works with everyone and everybody. So I do definitely recommend it. Anything else? We're good? All right. Thank you for letting me do this. Thanks, Google.
All right, let's give that over to Kate.
Yes, this is still.
So Kate, I don't think Kate has any slides.
That's for the best.
So that does not mean she is not filled with wisdom. It's all in her brain. So we'll just have the cute little Macintoshes talk to us while we listen. So without further ado, we have Kate, and she's going to talk to us about backing up our website.
Thank you. I'm standing a little back here because poor Walisha was in the dark, and I think this might. You were, but this might look a little better on the on the internet. I'm Kate Newbill, and I am a WordPress consultant. I work with clients. I work with a lot of different people, and what I'm going to be talking about is a lot of things that people don't understand about backing up their websites. This is if you're a professional and you are actually creating websites for clients, this would be for your client. If you've got a website for yourself, these are things to think about for yourself. One of the things, the first thing to think about is that some of the web hosts will do backups for you. Not all of them, and they don't all do complete backups. Some of the more popular ones, like Bluehost and HostGator, they say they'll do backups, and they do backups. But Bluehost does not do a complete backup. For one thing, they'll back up your WordPress, but they won't back up your email. HostGator will back up once a week on an arbitrary day, and you just kind of have to catch them when you get lucky. It's like if you need a backup on Tuesday and they didn't back up since last Monday or a week ago, then that's what you've got. So what I always tell clients is that there are two things that you need. You need a backup that you can control, and you need a backup that's off the server. The reason for that is you've got two things that can go wrong. You can have server disasters, and you can have consultant disasters. Seriously, I'm a consultant, and I tell every one of my clients, you need backups that you can control. I do backups for you every day, and I do an off-site backup every week, but you need to be able to get to those so that you can restore or you can move. There have been a couple of times, server disasters are few and far between, but there have been a couple of times in the last 10 years. I know of one time there was a really huge fire in a server farm in Houston, and people were down for 2 weeks. Nobody lost anything. They had off-site backups, but it took them 2 weeks to get machines back in and get the backups reinstalled. And for people who were running e-commerce, that 2 weeks is lost. It's not ever going to come back again. So if they had had the backups available off the server, then they could have temporarily switched over to a different host stayed up during that 2 weeks, and then switched back over to their main host when the new servers came back online. Consultant disasters are a little more frequent, let's say. I can't tell you the number of times that I've gotten, this like panicked phone call or email. My consultant's disappeared. I can't get into my website. Can you help me? Or even better, I had one about 2 weeks ago where she emailed me in a panic. It was like on a Sunday night at like 9:45 p.m. And she said, I paid my web host for another year. They said I was delinquent and they took my website down. She said, I've lost my money. I've lost my website. My consultant isn't answering my phone calls or my emails. Is there a way to get my website back? Well, she had no backups. And yes, there is a way that you can get it back, but it's going to cost a heck of a lot of money because it means going to the Wayback Machine and trying to reconstruct it from what's available in cached settings on the web. It's a mess. So that's the main thing, is always have a backup that you or your client can control. So now there are 2 ways to do that, or 3 ways to do that. The first way is the simplest way. If you have a web host that does a complete backup file, if they're on cPanel, if they're using a standard cPanel, you can do a complete backup from your cPanel and then download it. It's a manual thing. It's a little tricky to set up a cron job, but you can set up a cron job to have it sent somewhere like Amazon S3. I have a lot of my offsite clients set up for a cron job to run and back it up every day and send it to Amazon S3. It's a little technical. You can't expect your clients to do that. Another way to do it is to, and this is the easy way, is to set up a plugin inside their WordPress that they can control. The downside to that is that backs up WordPress only. It doesn't back up their email if they're running domain email through their domain. Sorry. So that's another thing that they're going to have to think about. If they've got Google Apps or something like that, you're in good shape. Just go ahead and do the WordPress plugin. And there you've got some choices to make in terms of which plugin you use. If your client is on one of the slower servers like GoDaddy or even DreamHost, HostGator has fallen into this category, and all of the EIG providers. Everybody know about EIG? No? It's a company called the Endurance International Group, and they have purchased an awful lot of the largest web hosting companies. Bluehost, HostGator, Small Orange, those are the ones that immediately come to mind. And what they are a financial company. So what they are doing is cramming as many websites on the one server as they can, and they're cutting their technical support. And it turns into a problem after they purchase a company. So if they're on one of the EIG companies, then assume that they're not going to back it up for you, and assume that they're going to limit server resources. So if you have a website that's on one of these limited resource servers, like GoDaddy or HostGator or one of the others, the plugin that I generally use is called Updraft Plus. There's a free version and there is a premium version. And the reason I like it is that it will back up only the WP content folder and the database. That gives you your themes, that gives you your plugins, that gives you all your uploads, but it doesn't save all of the WordPress specific that are freely available. Makes it really easy to put a site back together again for the least amount of overhead. When you set up one of these plugins, set it up to save to Dropbox or to Google Drive or to Amazon S3. And that way your client can reach it in the dashboard if they need to get one of their backups, or it's safe in case there is either a consultant or a hosting disaster. Another one that you will have heard of probably is called Backup Buddy. And Backup Buddy is great when you have a server with good resources. It is kind of a resource hog. It does take a lot of memory. It makes a really huge zip file. And if the website is of any size at all, it's easier to use Updraft Plus or one of the other solutions. But Backup Buddy is a good solution when you've got plenty of room and plenty of resources to work with. The third way to do backups, and again, this covers only your WordPress website and not your email, is to contract with a service like VaultPress. There are a couple of others. One called Blog Vault, one called VaultPress, and a couple of others that escape me at the moment. But what those are is it's a service where you pay monthly. VaultPress is as little as $5 a month, and they do incremental backups of your WordPress website. Generally keep about 30 days worth of information there. So again, it's off-site if you run into a problem with your hosting company, and you can roll back to any of those 30 issues. Like if you update something and it breaks your website, you can quickly roll back to yesterday or the day before. So those are the quick overview of backup solutions for your WordPress website. Any questions? Any comments? Yes.
I've heard of a company called Security.
Yes.
Is that another one kind of like WordPress that does the incremental backup?
No, Security is different. Security runs, they will run security checks on your website to tell you whether you have any malware installed. You can contract with them to do constant checks on your website. If your website gets hacked, they can clean it for you. They do it's an automated clean. Basically, they run scripts and run through it. So if you have a really hacked site, it might take a little bit more. It might take somebody actually going in there and doing it manually. But in general, it's a very good service, but it's a different service. It's not a backup service. Yeah. Any other questions?
Do you feel the same way about HostGator with regards to dedicated boxes?
I have no experience with HostGator dedicated boxes. My only question there would be, how much technical support do you need? If you are handling all the sysadmin yourself or have someone do that for you, then you're probably okay. It's the people who need the help, who don't know how to handle it, and will occasionally need to call on tech support. Those are the people who get in trouble. Yes.
You mentioned HostGator is one of those that's EID.
Right.
Resource. I have a small website. I control the cPanel, all of the back-end stuff. And there's not a lot of traffic to this site.
Right.
So you say HostGator, is there not going to be any technical support, or
there is technical support, but it's slow. And what will happen almost all the time, in my experience, and this is my experience, is that you get hold of someone in technical support, and they are minimally trained. So you may very well know more than the guy who's supposed to be helping you. And what I have found is in a lot of these cases, you have to ask, bump up the support request to the next tier, bump it up to a supervisor, bump it up to somebody who knows what they're talking about. Again, it depends on what your issue is. But if you're knowledgeable at all about websites and about website management, then probably their technical support people are going to be more basic on the first round than you will need.
I have noticed, but I have noticed that support has slowed down a lot.
Right. They're cutting support staff. So one guy is answering questions that maybe 2 or 3 people used to answer in the past. So it takes them twice as long to get to you.
I've always enjoyed HostGator's online chat,
Mm-hmm.
where you can always sit there and chat with someone.
Right.
That's always in a queue, like 3 or 4 people. I haven't used it in a while. I think it's good to see if it's like 20 people ahead of you.
It's getting to about like that. Yes.
I was just going to confirm, in a former life, I worked for a subcontractor for Gateway Computers for
Right.
for data center material. And the unfortunate reality is that you kind of have to understand the company that you're doing business with and what that script is, and going through that material with whoever your support agent is, and then learning how you need to escalate.
Right. Right.
And I will say this, that from the other side of being on the other side of the table, getting over the irate isn't going to help.
Right.
Because, yeah, at the end of the day, there's still that protocol that that has to be followed even in an escalation situation. And so, being understanding and working with whoever, whatever the support structure is important. Getting things nailed down as quickly as possible.
Exactly. Yeah. Being polite to people will get you a lot further than being grumpy. Yeah.
That being said, when you start cutting corners forward, is what you see.
Right. Any other questions? Yes. Sure.
I've only had a website for about 3 years, honestly. So has Bluehost been a part of the CIG since then? Because I've noticed these gigantic, massive outages that will happen
Yeah.
that will last for almost an entire day.
Yeah.
Depending on what's going on. Is that a result of them consolidating all these?
It is. It is. Yeah, and the analogy I use with my clients is when you put that many sites on a server, it's like living in an 80-story apartment building with one elevator. And everybody's got to go up and down that one elevator, so it gets crowded at times. Yeah. So yeah, I will never tell a client you have to move. I have some colleagues who say, I won't work with anybody on GoDaddy, for instance. But I will never tell a client that they have to move. I will explain to them why it's a good idea that they might want to move. But I never want to try to force that on them. Any other questions? Thank you for putting up with my very impromptu speech. Okay, who's next?
All right. Thank you, Kate. Jonathan is next. And let's see, pull up your slides. It's so dark, it's not gonna.
I used one of these before.
Just hook it to your collar there.
The mic has a little clip on it.
Black turtleneck sweater.
So take it away, Jonathan.
Okay. Xdebug is a system for debugging PHP programming, and I'll keep this kind of non-technical as possible. Xdebug is basically, well, there it is, a better way to debug PHP. Let's move on to the next one. Okay. So here is the setup. So there are a lot of ways to set up Xdebug to debug your PHP code, and there's all different kinds of combinations, but this is the one I'm going to use for this demonstration. So I'm set up on a local host, so on my local machine. I've got a LAMP stack, and that just means I'm on Windows, Apache, MySQL, and PHP. And MySQL is really not important for this at all. NetBeans, which is Java's flavor of an IDE, basically graphic program you can use to work with PHP code or Java code. This one in particular is NetBeans PHP. And then a basic WordPress install. And WordPress is really not, I guess, relevant to this discussion, but you can use Xdebug for WordPress, and that's where I found the most use for it. You can use it on any kind of PHP setup.
Okay. The biggest thing about Xdebug is getting it set up. And I think that's, from what I've read and I've heard from Rachel, is trying to get the thing downloaded and set up and configured is probably the biggest hurdle. What I found is there's a site actually at xdebug.org, so it's the site. They've got a wizard that basically it's a copy and paste to give you exactly what you need and just as few instructions as possible. Kind of like when you set up WordPress, 1, 2, 3, go. So all you really need to do is visit xdebug.org wizard.php, and if you're set up on your local host, you can run a script called php info, and that'll give you all of your server info, all the different extensions, modules that are running on your server. And you just copy and paste that and paste it in here. You can't really see it too well there, but I just pasted in all the info, and you hit go, and these guys run a script. It'll say, okay, so here's some information about your server setup, and it says, okay, go straight to this DLL, this site here, to get your Xdebug DLL, because as we all know, trying to install something, knowing if you're on a 32-bit, 64-bit, trying to get a DLL working is confusing at best. So they tell you, okay, based on your setup, server setup, you go get this DLL, move it into the extensions directory, and then you're going to update php.ini, which is just basically telling your server, okay, I've got Xdebug, I want you to run it. So it's pretty 1, 2, 3 punch to get it installed. And just to make sure that you've got it installed successfully. Is this picking up on the mic? I guess. Okay. Okay. You go back into your PHP info, and you should see something right beside this little pretty Zen engine logo, Xdebug. And if you scroll down, there's a lot of info in there on PHP info. See some of the Xdebug options that are set up. And if you see that, then you know that you've been successful, at least getting your server to talk to Xdebug. So the next step is yourself an IDE, some kind of program off the internet. NetBeans is absolutely free. It's made by Java or people at Oracle. Download that. Kind of faded out there. Basically, you'll have a button right up here that says debug project. And essentially, it's like any other IDE. You set up a project with files. You've got some files you can navigate over here, and your file comes up over here. And it's as simple as just running it. And something I'll show you in a minute, the catch to Xdebug is a lot of times you'll get something down near the bottom of the window that says Xdebug, I think is listening on a certain port, and it'll just run like that. Okay, what's wrong? I'm not seeing anything in my browser. And those are some settings you have to tweak. I won't get too much into detail on that, but it has to do with a couple of settings in your PHP INI. Just take my word on it. I've finally figured it out. But if things are successful, NetBeans is going to be listening on your server, and it's going to run your browser, whatever default, and you'll know that Xdebug is running your code when you see something up here. I can't really see it here, but so I'm on localhost/sample. That's my website, and your URL will have in the address bar a parameter $, Xdebug session equals I think it's like NetBeans debug. So basically, it's telling you the session has started. So that means you're good to go. Start debugging your PHP code, running through it, uh, whatever whatever you're going in and looking at. Yeah, xdebug session start. And there's a couple of default settings on here that you can change it, but probably easier leaving them. Usually runs on port 9000. You'll probably see that maybe in localhost colon 9000. And you can always change those in the options in NetBeans. I really like NetBeans because it was, once I got xdebug set up on my server, it was a minimal amount of extra configuring and stuff. I've tried Eclipse. Actually, I gave up on Eclipse because I couldn't even figure out how all the layout and stuff was working. I used to use what is it, Sublime Text 3. I always liked that, but I couldn't really get the debugging to run. What I like about NetBeans is make it very clear that once the debugging is started, once your browser is opened, you've got a couple of buttons here. Anybody who's worked with JavaScript in a browser or any kind of debugging at all, these would be familiar. Step over, step into, and step out. And essentially, in layman terms, what that means is, okay, I'm at a particular function, and if I want to step in, go line by line of the code and see what is all getting executed, what are the variables. If I want to step out, I don't want to go deeper into the code, I want to go higher up. And step over, which is like, I'm on function A, I don't care about it, I'm going to go to function B. So it's nothing anybody that's done debugging hasn't seen before. This is a nice little extra bit here, is there's a little panel that tells you how much memory you've been running as the session is running. And it's like, I think 169 megs of 300 something megs, and you can click on it, forces garbage collection, and that basically, I guess, is collecting anything in memory and clearing up space. So that was a nice little extra bit. And here we kind of get into some of the really neat things of what xdebug or NetBeans, that is, kind of gives you. And this is where we kind of get into WordPress. So WordPress is kind of not as relevant to xdebug, but I like it because WordPress always used to be like a black box. I didn't really know what was going on in the internals of WordPress and all that until I got xdebug. And I could see all these variables. Of course, WordPress is big, got a lot of different globals, a lot of different variables, what exactly is going on. And that is why I love xdebug. Like, everybody who's worked with WordPress has used the post variable, knowing what that's been set to and what it contains can be kind of daunting. And that is one of the advantages of it. Let's see. So I guess in conclusion, where does xdebug make WordPress development easier? Well, if you're working with somebody else's plugin that somebody else has created and they've got some bugs in it, or if you just want to dig right into the WordPress and hack it, which I wouldn't recommend it, but you want to see what's going on under the hood, xdebug is excellent for that purpose. Or, you know, function.php. I think some of the cons I have about xdebug that I haven't been able to get over, and make this caveat, I'm still learning xdebug, and it's still a bit of a learning process for me, is that the learning curve is high trying to get it set up on your server. I don't know much about setting up for like shared hosting or a remote server. I know that works on localhost. And I think if anybody else out there has worked with xdebug, PHP can if you ever happen to work with XDebug and you figure this out, let me know. I love WordPress and I love debugging it, but if I set a breakpoint somewhere deep down in the code, like in a theme or something, I want to look at my theme's code. When I press start, browser opens and the session starts. The place that's going to go first is actually the entry point for WordPress, which is like, can't even tell you, it's like index or something like that. And it's hard to figure out where to go, how to get into the theme, debug specifically what you want. But here are some of the things that made my life a lot easier. The old way of doing things with debugging is to put a bunch of echoes and bar dumps in your code, spit it out to the page. WordPress has some great stuff built in. You can turn on debugging, gives you some stuff that spits out the page. But I think setting up is worth the effort. And anybody has any other questions? I've got some resources and your questions.
We can share. We can. I'll have your slides. I can share them with everybody. So
Okay.
have the links, all the text that was hard to read.
Yeah, it kind of faded out, I guess. But
So I'll ask about XDebug. So can you use this on, I guess two questions, something that's not running locally? Say you have something out there in the middle of nowhere. Number two is, say you're running custom scripts. You're not running WordPress. You're not running something that somebody wrote.
right.
You're just running what you wrote.
Yeah, I guess for the second question, if it's PHP, you can debug it, Xdebug. It's not specific to WordPress. Anything that's running PHP. As for the first question, debugging something remotely, I haven't looked into that yet. I don't know what the use case would be. I guess you obviously wouldn't want to debug something in production. I guess that would be kind of a disaster waiting to happen. But I guess there's a use case out there for it. I know there's probably some settings in php.ini. You can set remote address, callback, and all that stuff. Yeah, I think there are some places that could catch you, like if it's listening on I think 127, then you're good. But if it's like open listening on all ports or something like that, then you could be in trouble, I guess. But I haven't done a lot of that. I just stuck mostly with localhost, but I bet you it's possible. So it wasn't. Oh, okay. He liked my presentation. All right.
I think we have a little extra time, and so Ryan was going to talk? Yes?
Yes.
Okay, Ryan is going to come and talk to us.
So this presentation has been live streamed on Google Hangouts, and I was going to explain how that was done. So I've got a camera right here, and this particular laptop is in the Hangout. What's interesting is I'm sharing whatever is on this screen over here. So you're sort of seeing a tunnel effect because whatever is happening on that camera is being presented up there on this screen, and you see that delayed reaction of my hand. There probably are echoes, but I intentionally have this laptop muted so that we don't have that horrible noise. So what I'm going to do is put this back over here, and so you guys don't have the tunnel effect. And I'm going to show you what I'm going to show you how I set up one of these Hangouts. So I'm going to launch an incognito window so I can log in as myself over here in front of you guys. And I'm going to go to plus.google.com. Not that. Gosh. That's right. So I'm just going to zoom out a little bit because the presentation screen is a little tiny, but I'm going to sign in into my Gmail account. It probably doesn't, there we go. And all right, so over here on the left, I have a number of settings. If you go to Hangouts, you'll find that there's either the ability to just do a one-off hangout with someone. Hey, Dan, I just want to hang out with you real quick and talk over something for 2 minutes, and then we're done. But you can also do a hangout on air, and that's how this this presentation is being archived. So when I make the hangout on air, it wants a title. So I'm going to call it Demo Hangout on Air. I want it to start now. Alternately, it could start later at some future date and time. And there's going to, the public, I'm okay with the public being the audience. So I'm going to go ahead and hit share. So that's going to publish this to my Google Plus profile timeline. And then I can hit right here and start the Hangout. But there's some options. I could turn on the Q&A module for questions and answers. I could turn on the Showcase app, and so I could showcase a set of links. And I can also turn on the applause feature so that you can let people indicate, is this a good point in the presentation or a bad point? We haven't, I didn't turn it on for the overall presentation tonight, and I probably will not turn it on for this either. Sure. I'll have to show you with another video with how that works. So I'm gonna hit start, and this is the camera that initially shows up because it's trying to right. So it's trying to work off this laptop with me. I do want to invite someone, so I've got a coworker who I hope is on the ready. There he is. And I'm going to invite him to the Hangout. Now, I've already told him not to expect for you guys to hear him, because if I turn the volume on to here, we're going to have the noise, and I don't want that. So, and let's see, let's make this full screen. Well, the Slack is a module that lets you, if you use Slack to start a Hangout, right, so there's Jason, he's joined us. Jason, if you can hear, wave. Great. So what I'm about to do, so normally what you do is you would set up your Hangout and you would get to the point where you're saying, okay, Jason, are you ready to go live? And he would give me some thumbs up. And I'm gonna say, okay, we're gonna start the broadcast. And you're about to broadcast live to Google Plus and YouTube, and it'll be published live for all to see. So in the top right corner, it just let me know the Hangout is live. So this right now is streaming live on YouTube. Ironically, we're streaming live on YouTube twice, once from my laptop in the back on that camera, and once right here on this one. So Jason, I appreciate it. That's all I really had for you to do. Join. So I'm going to stop it. So actually you can stop it, which I have, and actually you can continue conversing with the parties of your Hangout, even though the online portion has stopped. So, and also he disconnected. So let's go see what that looks like. It's probably not going to be anything terribly interesting, but I can hit play in the Google Plus page, and I can rewind back to some point in time.
Does it record the whole broadcast?
The whole thing from me hitting start broadcast to end broadcast is being recorded. And as soon as Jason joins us, because he didn't have his microphone on, I don't think it was swapping back and forth.
It did swap. It showed 10 full screen.
I think it did initially, but anyways, it should swap back and forth. And right. So also on our Tuscaloosa Web Professionals page is where this one is broadcasting. I can come and see this one. I feel like I'm in a box here. So when I click this, we're able to see the presentation from Alicia. Not quite sure why. Yep, there she is. We're able to see Kate. We're able to see we're able to see Kate. We're able to see John. We're able to see John. So all of that was archived, and we're still adding to the end of the presentation. So we're sort of. That's right. So I can hit live right here, and it'll be about a 45-second delay live from what we are right now. And right. So about 45 seconds ago, I was showing you the various spots. So where John, Alicia, and Kate was. On the right-hand side, we have the showcase items. So if I wanted to showcase some links, that's where those are. But that's what I had to show.
I have a question. Can you do a screen share instead of a broadcast?
Yeah, definitely. So there's a quick URL you can browse to plus.google.com/ hangout _/_. And it's just I think I have to add one more slash to it. Yep. So it's going to give me what did I do wrong? Hangouts. There it is. It's going to give me a unique Hangout URL, I think. There it is. And yes, I can share. So I don't want to invite anybody right now, but that would be smart if I actually wanted to share something with them. So over here on the left sidebar, I'm not sure why I can't see everything. Anybody else know? I'm expecting. I shouldn't have to. Anyways, what I'm looking for is over here on the left, and I'm not sure why it's hiding from me. Yep. So what I'll do is I'll show you the other Hangout that we have running over here on this computer. So this is the Hangout that's recording live right now. That's been recording for the last few minutes. I'm about to stop this for a second. So it changed. What I can do is I can select which screen or which application I want to share. So so once I've shared that, then I chose to minimize this and get it out of the way, so that the Hangout is really just a way to capture and share that. Right now, if you were seeing what I am sharing, you'd see the screens, because that's screen 2. And in the back on my laptop, it's being switched. So in the back right now, it's on screen 2, but he could swap it for me to the camera, and the video would go to the camera. And then as it's necessary to go back and forth between the video and the screen, we could do that.
About the presentation itself?
Yes. So in the back, clicking on these would choose, like the primary Hangout would let you choose which source is going out. So by clicking on this, I would get the video feed. I'm sorry, the slides. By clicking on this, I would get the video feed, or vice versa. So.
What about cheer to cheer?
I don't know what that is. Oh, correct. Got it. So let me pull up something that I think will use this, plus google.com/, I don't know what this event is. So, no thank you, let's go. No, I meant no thank you. Whatever. So, there's a podcast that I follow called the Daily Tech News Show, and he posts to he does it live on I don't know if that's him or not. It's right, got the right. That's the DTNS logo I'm looking for. Thank you. So what I'm looking for on his page is this event, which has this video of Veronica and whatnot talking with Patrick Beja and whatnot. So across the bottom, you can vote for your favorite moments. So I'm gonna go ahead and hit play. And no one has voted on this yet. But if I wanted to vote, I'm gonna zoom out just a little bit so I can get a little bit more screen real estate here. Too far. I don't know where it went. But what I can do down here, I don't know why the dock is up, but I can thumb up or I can thumb down. So if I thumb up, then it's gonna raise that little thing there, and I don't know what it's doing. It did some little dance down there. And if other people were to thumb up that same point in time, it's going to get higher and higher. Yes. Yeah. That's really weird. I thought that was on my screen, and now he's doing it. So I'm going to thumb that up again, and there's another point. So, yeah. So there's if there's a real popular video that is playing, and a lot of people have said that's a really good spot, you might be able to click on that point in time and go to it. So I'm going to jump forward in the video, and then I'm going to come back to this point. Yeah, that point was a little boring, you know, but the idea was that I should be able to click right there. Did somebody else join this video? Anyways, I should be able to click on that the histogram peak, and it will take me to that point in time, which people said was the good part.
I like that.
Yep. Yeah.
So the next question would be, can you say between here and here, so speaking, and then you can run some kind of results off?
You might be able to say, yeah, the segment when Veronica was speaking, it had a bunch of, yeah. The segment when Veronica was speaking, it had a bunch of high spots, and every time that other guy gets on the show, it had low spots. Maybe your host, maybe the guy who runs the show, which is Tom here, might say, let's have more Veronica and less of that guy. Yep.
So does it automatically put it on your YouTube?
It does. Yep.
YouTube, so as soon as while you're broadcasting, it's already created.
That's right. So,
Always. Is that always?
yes.
Basically, one share follows over to how.
So Hangouts on Air, I chose to publish the test I did with Jason. I chose to have it be public. Also, for this one, I chose to have it be public as well. So yes, it did go to YouTube. If I chose to have it be to a select group of people, it would be unlisted. Because only the people who found out about it because I told them through Google Plus would learn about it, and they would click through to the unlisted YouTube video.
Where I'm going with this is, say you're having some kind of negotiation, and I don't know, Hangouts is the best medium on which to do that, but you got a record meeting, and it's all fully indexed, you know,
Right.
your people going there, oh, this is where we made some money, or we lost some money, or something like that. That would be interesting.
Yep, so I'm going to look for videos that I have posted, and when I go to my Creator Studio, I have the demo HOA, Hangout Online. There's the 30s. Okay, that's awesome. I don't know how that happened.
So the next question is
I've been sitting here for
the next question is, can you, whenever you publish this YouTube on
It's crazy.
can you automatically,
I don't know.
can you monetize?
Maybe. No, I didn't. No, not financially. Right?
So is the one that you're creating of all the other presentations? Look at that.
Yeah, right.
That's for you. That's marketing there.
I didn't do all that. I reviewed it twice, maybe. Yeah.
I've been tweeting out the link to that one.
Right. So the other one is in our Tuscaloosa Web Professionals account. Well, so we're gonna find it under live streaming because it's active right now, and I think I have an event. Yep, bring your own topic. We'll bring the projector. So right now it's live. 2 people are watching it. I don't know who they are. Hello. But I can see in our video manager that we've done this before, and we don't currently see. That's right. But we don't currently. The ones that are done will show up in here. The ones that are live streaming will be in the other one. So
since these are so tightly integrated, how does this compare to just going straight to YouTube and doing live?
So the difference, what we're accomplishing is we're using 2 different computers. So this one with the slides, and it's in the Hangout, and that one in the back when it's got a camera facing me or whomever was speaking. And we're able to live switch between 2 sources without using any fancy hardware and bringing all the video sources into one machine. We're letting Google marry all that data information together. So right now, I would imagine the camera's on me because I've been talking for a minute, and my buddy in the back has been toggling back and forth. There's nothing interesting we're talking about up here, so he's got it on this one.
So that same tool set isn't available when you do live streaming with YouTube?
I don't believe, because the Hangouts on air gives you the multi-sources, and this is one source.
Oh, by the way, simulcast across
That's right.
Google's YouTube property.
Right.
But, so if you do YouTube, it's just like direct camera live.
Yep. So you would have to use another piece of software, typically running on your own machine. Some people use Wirecast. Some people use some hardware, like called a TriCaster. These are software and hardware solutions that will bring together multiple video and audio sources and let you pick. You could choose to do double boxes, you know, on TV when you see the talking heads side by side, and they
I was thinking of gaming videos, but actually it's interesting because they do typically have like hardware setups to
right.
facilitate a lot of that.
Yep. So hardware's the best way to go because you typically aren't going to run into software and CPU bleeding and like your CPU running out of resources and stuff like that. But on a budget, you could use the Hangout like we've done. And if you want to go a little high, next tier, you might use some software that'll do the live switching for you.
So is Google Hangout used a lot, but does it just have like a prompt that says we want to access your hardware's camera or whatever?
That's correct. So that's right. So the first time you are willing to use the camera with Hangouts, it'll ask. Chrome will pop up or whatever your browser is, and it'll say Google Hangouts wants to use your camera. Allow or block, and you hit allow, and then it'll show your video. Well, previously, I believe Rachel has already allowed it, and on my computer, I've already allowed it, so that's why you never saw the prompt. Yep. I will show you this briefly. This is not. Yep. Hold on. These are some screenshots of Wirecast. So, for example, here's one. In the top left, you have what's going out, what people would typically call program. On the top right, you have maybe the monitor, what you're about to go to. And all the boxes across the bottom represent sources, or they represent media that you're ready to. You click on it and it'll just start playing. So I don't know its cost. You might pay. This is going to be software that's going to rely on you having enough inputs to be able to handle all the video sources and audio sources you need to be able to work with. So, yep. So Hangouts by itself, though, you can still just do a person-to-person without doing the Hangout on air, without it publishing to YouTube. You know, a number of us I use Hangout at work, and some of you were mentioning earlier, you can actually bookmark a URL, and it will allow you to go straight to a pre-existing Hangout. Others may be waiting in there for you to join. For the last 2 months, I've had a standing 8:45 Hangout Monday through Friday with people, and we would just share the link, and you click on it and join at 8:45, and we start our meeting. Yep. Maybe. Is it possible to happen at 9 o'clock? Yes. So. That's right. So this lightning talk has gone on. Anything else I might be able to chat about? Great. Sure. Did anybody else have anything they wanted to share? Okay. Yep. So hello, interwebs, and people watching on your mobile devices and computers. We're going to take a bio break, so hold on, and we'll be right back. So Google Chromecast, is there any integration with that? So pretty much anything that you can see in your browser can be a source that you cast to Google Chromecast. Inherently, though, there's nothing in Hangouts that would go to Google Chromecast. But there is in YouTube, there is it's a square with like a little radar. I don't know what to call it, but think of a square with this casting looking symbol. If you see that on your mobile device, if you see it in YouTube, if you see it on various websites where someone might imagine, hey, it would be good if this video, this media could be cast to the biggest screen in your house. And that was the allure of Chromecast to start with. I want to be able to watch a video or look at my photos on the biggest, best display in my home. Let's find some way to easily cast it so that everyone in the room, in the house, has an opportunity to see it on that device.
So I guess you could utilize Chromecast if your Google Hangout was live streaming.
Yep. So it's possible to use Chromecast with this, but you're still going to have to make sure you're either facing that camera or you have some dedicated camera that's going to be pointing at you. The audio, if you have anyone responding back, is still going to come out of this device unless you tell it to cast the audio as well.
So a lot of this in terms of the media strategy is as best as I can tell. YouTube is Google's like mass consumption broadcasting platform. So the Chromecast, that functionality is going to be tied in to the YouTube part of the ecosystem, and the Hangouts interaction by itself is more like you're sending it to a dedicated group. You're having one-to-one interaction. You're having 10 people interact. You're sending it to dedicated people that you want to. And so YouTube itself is like more of a mass consumption platform, which I would imagine is not
I can drive or whichever.
So, I understand, so we work I just got off some surgery and I've got a lot of other excuses, but skill set to try to help out the way that I can. And so, customers that need.
Yeah.
And so, I'm the kind of guy I like to really kind of get down and do it for it. But there at the outset, basically, I went to a lady Am I on? So hopefully I've been animated enough with these hands, to paint the picture. But so it was basically 2 people working on it for about 2 or 3 nights. And then I got Ryan involved, and Ryan talked to some people that he knew, and these people came in after hours, and we stayed up. God, it was probably like 5 in the morning or something like that. But you had all these high-skilled programmers sitting there knocking this out. And the point is really not to come in here and brag about this and, oh, we've done this and we've helped people. And the point is that whenever you get a handful of people that have a good skill set and they're really passionate about what they're trying to get done, you can knock it out, and it's really not scalable at this point. It's scalable up to a certain point, but whenever you have just a small number of people, and I tell you, this came together in like 5 days, and there wasn't a whole lot of vision, there wasn't a whole lot of communication. It basically just started with a little database that she had wisdom enough to say, hey, let's take all this paper, let's get some people to transcribe this into this access database, let's get somebody to build this access database so we can do that. And then let's hand it off, and let's try to get this thing to the next phase. If you've ever worked with an access database, it's not so scalable. You got to hand out VPN to a network, and people would get to it, and then multiple people can get to it. But with a website, I mean, it's made for that. Tim Berners-Lee, he'd probably love this, right? But the point is that you get a handful of people that really care about what they're doing. They're trying to get something really important done in their own minds, whether it's actually important or not. But we all really cared about what we were doing, and it did happen to be important. We didn't get a lot of return at the beginning, but Nancy goes in there all the time, she tells me, and she searches, I've got this problem I need to solve. I've got this problem I need to solve. If any of y'all would like to help out with this, I would love for you to help me solve some more problems. So that's basically it. That's Tuscaloosa Needs, and let me change the password. Anybody got any questions? Should do that?
Still being utilized now for any kind of.
Yeah. Like I say, the member organizations aren't actually using it, but Nancy does go in there and she does search for this, she does for that. And so, you can see that there were, right there whenever we were on the admin home, that there were like 200 something, and that could be bots or a-holes in there filling out stuff, but, you really can't tell, where was that? Maybe volunteers?
There was 6,000 something on this page.
Yeah, but then there was like 200 new ones that needed approving. But yeah, so it is still used now. She can still go in there. She can search for different people that have certain skills. Yeah. She's really just the kind of salt of the earth person too. I mean, she lives in a hovel over on the west side. And all she does is just this. If you follow her on Facebook, she's like my favorite thing in the world to follow on Facebook, because she says it almost like in a third person kind of view, like somebody asked her a question, but she lays out everything that she does every day, and everything that she does every day is helping, at the bottom of the tree or at the leaves of the tree. It's the people that actually have the problems. And she's getting in really good touch with them, and she finds, volunteers on here to help her. So yeah, it is being used today.
Then you think of a quote that I remember on that, you can love what you do not master, you cannot master, you don't love.
That's a dang good quote. Absolutely. Any other questions?
I was just going to mention that the Compassion Coalition is a very interesting organization. They activate anytime the weather is supposed to be below freezing for more than about 6 hours, and they try to get all the homeless off the street. It's something that you never know about that's happening, but it's behind the scenes, and it's a very interesting organization that it's like a cross-section of a number of churches and nonprofits across the community.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, us as a group, I think that us as a group would love for these, could put our skills together and work on these kind of projects. I mean, I think we kind of talked about it before a little bit about what are some needs in our community that we can help with. And so something like this, or if we all thought there was something that we could pour resources on for this and something else, I mean, I'm all ears, and anyone feel free to suggest anything, and go for it.
Absolutely. I'm on the same page. Right there with you.
Awesome.
We're not here for us, right?
Yep.
Thank
you
y'all.
so much, Dan. Anybody else have anything that they would like to share? Well, thank you all for coming. Our next meetup we plan to have sometime during the month of December as a social, just to go and visit and sort of be Christmassy together, or something to that effect. So if anybody has ideas, if you have a location where you want to go, feel free to jump in our Slack account. If you're not on our Slack, see me after, or Rachel, and we can get you added to it. We've been a little quiet recently, but we're going to work on trying to. Things happen at the end of the year where we all become busy. I just finished a site launch at work. I know other people have things going on in their jobs, and that happens. That's just the way that our jobs go, and we all find ways to become excessively busy as the end of the year arrives. So if you do have ideas, we'd love to hear it. If you have a topic that you'd like to present in January when we get back onto a presentation schedule again, we'd like to hear about that as well. If you like this format, we can do this. If you have a longer format where you say, hey, I want to do a 30-minute in-depth something with a 15-minute Q&A, all of these are options. We just want to hear from you. And if you have something that you want to know more about, maybe there's someone in our community who doesn't realize, like I didn't realize people would be as interested in the Hangouts, and I just did that off the hip. So if there's something you guys want to get involved in, want to know more about, feel free to speak up and let us know.
Also, the Birmingham WordPress meetup has started up again for the last month or two or so, and a few of us have been carpooling. If you're interested in attending the Birmingham WordPress meetup, and so I don't know if there's one on the schedule already. I think December they're going to do something similar where they're just going to have a social gathering. I think it's scheduled right now for the 3rd. It's always the 4th Tuesday. Okay. But I think that they'll get back to the topic in January.
That's
so
right.
If you're interested in going to the social next month or going back in January, you can talk about it on Slack. And we last time we carpooled, we just put that on campus. All hopped in the car. The 3 of us hopped in the car together and went over there, and it made the ride a lot easier.
That's right.
Going by yourself. But also with that said, got 2 folks from Birmingham here tonight, and we've been trying to start a little bit of a camaraderie with that group, kind of go back and forth. And so, I like to go to the meetups there not only to learn something and to network, but to show camaraderie and support what they're doing, and they in turn, obviously, we have some Birmingham folks here supporting what we're doing. So, if you would like to go to Birmingham meetup, let us know on Slack, and we'll carpool. But I also bring that up to say that we have resources in Birmingham that could come over and talk with us. So if you have a certain topic you want to talk about, we can reach out to our group. We also reach out to the Birmingham group if someone would be willing to come over and share with us.
Yep. Well, thanks again to our speakers, Walisha, Kate, John, Dan. And we'll see you guys next time. Thank you so much.